everyone, it's Michelle from Scrap Secrets and welcome to another crafty video. This video is for the Dig It Out or Use It Up Creator Hop from Courtney's Facebook group. I will have all the information for the hop listed below in the more information section, so be sure to check it all out and hop along with us and you'll see a bunch of great projects. So for my project, I wanted to use the Cricut because I don't use it that much. I went on and decided I wanted to cut out these lockers, and I cut out 2 of them, made sure they were the same size and cut them out and glued them together off screen because I didn't think you wanted to see that. I used scrap pieces of paper, so that was the Use It Up. If you guys saw my goals video in the beginning of the year, one of the things that I really wanted to do this year was use up my scraps. So this was the perfect challenge and the perfect project for that because I had a ton of scraps. Now I'm just gluing these all into place, and then I'm going to take some Nuvo Jewel Drops in gray mist, and they're translucent, to mimic the lock on the locker because it was so tiny and it was hard. They all cut out, but it was really hard to glue them all in place. So I'm just going to take the Nuvo drops and just make little circles to be where the lock would be. And then after that's done, I'm just going to set the card aside to let those Nuvo drops dry. It doesn't take very long for them to dry because they're really tiny drops. I'm just showing you the locks. And then we're going to move on to the stamping. I wanted to stamp the Detention Friends from Kindred Stamps. I've had this stamp set for a while and have not used it, and I love this movie, so I don't know why I haven't used it, but this is the Dig It Out part of the challenge because I wanted to use a stamp set that I had never used anything from. And again, like always, since it's a new stamp set, I run my hands over it to just kind of get the film off of it. And because it was a new set, and I think because there was a lot of images, it didn't stamp well the first time, or maybe I didn't press it good enough. So I had to stamp it 3 times. And as you can see, there's a bumblebee on the end. This was a scrap piece of paper. So again, the Use It Up part of the challenge, I tried to use scraps for as many items as I could. So next we're going to do some Copic coloring, and this really is not about the Copic coloring. I'm not great with Copics. I just kind of use whatever colors I think go together nicely and would make a light, medium, and dark. I'm really not good at that. This is R85, 83, and 81 for her shirt, and I'm going to use E29 and 79 for her skirt and her boots, and then I believe I use E17 and E37 for her hair. Now, obviously, I'm not great at Copic coloring. If you want to see some great Copic artists, check out Courtney Krieber, Sandy Allnock. Those 2 really do an amazing job with Copics. There are definitely other people too, but those are the 2 that I really look to when I'm looking for color combinations or inspiration to use Copic colors. So I'm going to use E02 and E00 to color in her skin color, and I used that for, I believe, 3 of the 5 characters. The other 2 I used a E42 and E000. And you're not going to see that. I'm only going to show you one character that I colored in just because I didn't want to bore you guys with Copic coloring, and really I'm not showing any techniques. I don't really know any, and I'm just kind of using a flicking motion to color in her hair. Again, I'm not great at hair, and this is just my feeble attempt at Copic coloring. So I just wanted to show you guys one of the characters. I didn't want to leave all of the coloring out, but I didn't want to put all of it in. So I just thought coloring one of the characters would be good. So after I get done coloring her all in, I think I go back and color in her arms because I think I forgot to do that afterwards. And I am going to show you guys quickly how to use the Brother Scan and Cut to cut these items out. Now this is a very quick tutorial on it, so you're not really going to see something. If you want to see a full tutorial, let me know and I will do a review on how to use the Brother Scan and Cut. So we're going over and we are just hitting the buttons to scan the items and the images in so that it can it will scan them, and then you adjust the size down to where you want them to cut out. You use little stylus, and then you can hit the magnifying button and it will zoom in and show you exactly where your images are going to cut out. You can add a little bit of a border. I usually don't. You can make it look like it was cut out with a set of dies with that little white border. You can cut it right up to the line. You can do a big border. There's all different ways to do it, but I'm just going to do it with no border, so it's going to cut right around the image, around the black line. So this takes about a minute to cut out all 5 characters, so it's really not bad. Now I'm going to try to pop these out. I really should make my blade a little bit deeper. I probably have to click one more over because the one side cut out fine, but the other side didn't. And I'm finding that more recently that's what's been happening with my images, so I do have to play around with the pressure on the scan and cut. But it does come out. It's more like a perforation rather than a full cut. So what I did was I took some scissors and just cleaned up some of the cuts. It is easier than fussy cutting. You can get it to cut out better, but I just didn't have the proper settings for this paper. This paper is thick. I think it's 120-pound cardstock, which is also what the card base is. I forgot to say that. That was Black Recollections cardstock from Michaels, and I believe it's 120 pounds, and it's a 5x7 card, so it's a little bit larger than the card bases that I normally do. So we're just going to pop the images out, and then at one point I will actually take a black marker and go around all of the edges of the image. That way it gives it a more finished look. Sometimes when the scan and cut cuts out, it doesn't cut right up to the line, and it either cuts too much of the black off or leaves a little bit too much white. So going around the edges with a black marker really helps it have a nice finished look, because the whole entire image will have a black outline around the edges of it. So that's what I did after I cut out all of the kind of the rips and tears that were still left on the images. So I'm going to take my card front out in a second and just try to figure out where I want the characters to go on the front. Initially, I thought I wanted to start it off with the girl, the one that I had colored first, but I realized there was 3 boys and 2 girls, so I really wanted it to go boy, girl in that order. One of each. So I started off with a different boy character and then did the girl, a boy, girl, and then the boy across the front of it. I thought I was going to have to overlap the characters, but then as I got towards the end, I realized I didn't have to, that there was actually space for all 5 of them on the front of the card, which is the great thing about making a 5x7 card. I could fit more lockers on it, and I could fit all 5 characters across the front. So I'm just going and cleaning up the edges a little bit because I still had some of the tears there, and I wanted to make sure that I had the cleanest, nicest look that I possibly could when I went to glue everything down on the card. So I'm just taking that black marker right now and going around the edges, and sorry it was off camera. I did think that I wanted it to go boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, but obviously, in the end, I thought that's what I did in my head, and I'm looking at it now, and then I just looked at the final card. That is not what I did. So anyway, I didn't do that, but I don't know what I was thinking. So I'm going to take my Zig 2A glue pen and go on the back, put glue on the back of the images and stick them down to the front, spacing them out a little bit, making sure that I'm not overlapping them, because I thought that, like I said, I thought that I was going to have to overlap them, but there is enough room. And it was a little bit tricky because it's not on an even surface, so they weren't all sticking down properly, so I just had to stick them down in place. Next, I tried to use my Misty to stamp the sentiment, but because the card is so large, it didn't really work. I had to stop the camera and go get a block and stamp it. So I stamped it in my favorite things, Sweet Tooth pigment ink, which does take a little while to dry. So after I'm done this voiceover, I will take pictures and show you guys at the end. But I tried to stamp it out here. You'll see in a second, it doesn't work. I left this in because, again, I make mistakes, and you can see my MISTI really wasn't closing, so I had to go get a block and then stamp it out. When you're stamping with pigment ink, just be really, really careful not to press too hard when you ink it up or when you stamp it down, because that pigment ink will smudge. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you guys enjoy this hop and that you've liked what I've created. Leave comments below, and I will see you guys again real soon in the next video. Thanks!